In 1954, Godzilla, a prehistoric alpha predator, is lured to Bikini Atoll in an attempt to kill him with a nuclear bomb. Fast forward to 1999, and some monarch scientists named Ishiro Serizawa and Vivienne Graham found a similar monster skeleton in the Philippines. They also discovered two giant spores, one sleeping and the other hatched, leading them to a trail heading to the sea. Meanwhile, in Japan, a nuclear power plant had a weird shakeup. A guy named Joe Brody sent his wife Sandra and her team into the reactor to check things out. Sadly, the plant collapsed and Joe had to close the door, leaving Sandra and her team trapped inside. Now, 15 years later, Joe's son Ford, who is a Navy officer, comes back home to his family in San Francisco. But he can't relax for long because his dad got into trouble in Japan. Joe wants to figure out what caused the nuclear plant mess, and Ford reluctantly joins him to get some important data from their old home. The pair discovers that the quarantine zone is safe, but they get caught and end up in a facility with a huge chrysalis that's been feeding off the reactors for 15 years. A big insect-like creature comes out, wrecks the place, and Joe gets hurt and later dies. The incident is officially reported as an earthquake. Scientists Serizawa and Graham team up with the U.S. Navy to search for the creature, which they call a MUTO, massive unidentified terrestrial organism. They tell Ford that Godzilla was awakened in 1954, and all those nuclear tests were actually attempts to kill him. Project Monarch was then set up to secretly study Godzilla and similar monsters. They reveal that the MUTO caused the nuclear plant meltdown, and Joe had detected signals indicating it was talking to something, probably Godzilla. The MUTO attacks a submarine and drops it in Oahu to feast on its nuclear material. Godzilla shows up, causing chaos in Honolulu, and fights the MUTO briefly before it escapes. The scientists figure out that the MUTO was calling out to a bigger wingless female MUTO, which has now emerged and is attacking Las Vegas. Despite the scientists' objections, the military decides to use nuclear warheads to lure all three monsters to the open ocean and destroy them. Ford, now back in the U.S., joins the team delivering the warheads by train. The female MUTO intercepts them, eats most of the warheads, and takes the last one to the male MUTO. It forms a nest in Chinatown. While Godzilla and MUTOs are fighting, Ford and a team tried to disarm the warhead in the city. Unable to stop the timer, they get the warhead onto a boat for disposal at sea while Ford destroys the nest. Godzilla defeats the MUTOs and collapses from exhaustion. Ford gets the boat out before the warhead explodes, is rescued, and reunites with his family. Godzilla wakes up, heads back to the sea, and the media starts calling him the king of the monsters, wondering if he might be a hero. And so, the big lizard continues to roam the oceans, leaving everyone to ponder his role in the world, king of the monsters, and speculates whether he might be a savior.